There we are. Nope, did I hit that? Okay. Alrighty, people. Howdy, yo. It's your boy, Eli. He's back for the last show. For the last day. The last time. Gosh, I don't know why I do this for not 1 week, and I don't know how to do it. Wow. Alright. So, adios, people. Sorry, I am late once again. I swapped it to 9:10, and then I got caught up in doing my own work. So, anyways, I am back for one night. One night alone, people. One night. So, we have a fun time. We're going to be reacting once more. Where's my... there we are. I need these bad boys. The blue light shades. Anyways, so here's what we're going to do. Hello, everyone. My name is TheologyMatters. You can call me Eli. And, yeah, we're going to get into Trent Horn's recent video. He made a video with his boys over at Catholic Answers Live. They, let's just say they wanted to get after anti-Semitism again. So, we're going to react to it. It's a 1 hour thing. I, once again, have a lovely vodka bottle to assist me for tonight's performance. And, yeah, other than that, we're going to just, get into it. It is an hour, so I don't know if we'll watch the full hour. Let's be honest. Hold on. Not yet. Not yet. These glasses feel weird right now. Let me wait until I'm other. So, anyways, I'm just going to get straight into it. Sorry I'm late. The last time I was watching DoorDash Thomas, go subscribe to him. And I kind of was working on something while listening to him, and I completely forgot the time. So, yeah, I am here, though. So, anyways, yeah, big things are going to be happening with the channel in the coming months. Just to let everyone know that. But, yeah, we'll just get straight into it. Oops. There we are. I gotta hide. I can't even hide. It's not really hiding anything now, is it? So, supposedly it's only the first hour. So that's all we're gonna really do. I'm pretty sure that I lowered it enough that it's not going to hinder anyone. So, or it should be loud enough. Hold on, let me shove it up, actually. Okay. It should be loud enough that it's going to maybe overtake me, but it's also low enough that it's not as loud. So anyways, yeah, we're going to be playing we're just going to enjoy, mock this. Yeah, because, yeah, of course it is. Lana, hold on. I can't, there's letters. I'm trying to, make sure. Lana, yeah, of course. Anti-Semitism is, okay, well, that's the thing. Anti-Semitism or anti-Semitism? The anti-Semitism, yes. The anti-Semitism, that's kind of subjective. Because we're getting in the same regards. At that point, people who are usually complaining about the anti-Semitism are the same people that complain about that blacks will receive racism because they commit 13% of the population commits 50% of the crime. You can't say that it's racist, then, or the leftists will say racist. How far? I just started, bro. Yeah. I was listening to DoorDash. He's got DoorDash being hatred or bad faith characteristic of Jews. Okay, the last one can be hatred, yeah. That's just racism. Anti-Semitism is basically just racism towards Jews. That's the definition. The second part of that one, that can be taken to limp-wristed definitions. So, I don't know about that one. But to say something like, hey, because it's anti-Semitic to say like, hey, most of the pornographic industry is run by a certain demographic, that's anti-Semitism. It's like I can't help but see it. So yeah. But oh man. Okay, now I kind of wish I did a studio. I can't click any of your guys' stuff because I'm using a recording on this. Okay. There we are. Sorry, I clicked on comments and there we are. Good faith character, but bad faith criticism in demographic is bad. At that point, then should we not be joking, Lana? If that be the case, if you're saying good faith criticism is fine, but bad faith criticism of any demographic is bad, at that point, are you going to be okay with jokes? Because jokes could also be, it might be in good faith, but it won't be received in good faith. So you have to ask, like, where are you going to define this? And anyways, I still haven't even heard any of this from Trent. This is live reaction, so I don't know. But Trent doesn't exactly have the best. Are you willing to elaborate on the phrase bad faith? Sporty, is that for him or is that for Lana or me? Good evening. Hello, Ignatius. Welcome in. Yes, some jokes are better unsaid. Yeah. To be fair, though, you can't figure that out, Lana. Thank you, Sporty. Just making sure. Here's the thing, though. There are jokes, like, I consider myself a comedian. The problem being a comedian is not every joke lands. And not every joke hits for some people. Some people think that's offensive. Others are going to laugh. It's just life. You can't really be too much in the weeds about it. Holding anyone, yes, basically holding anyone to a double standard. Is saying the N-word. Good grief, bruh. I haven't even started and you all are active. Bad faith. So bad faith is anyone holding to a double standard. Well, Catholic Inc. sure definitely knows about double standards. The N-word is in bad faith. No one should be saying the N-word, even black people, which is kind of the sad point. It's how sad is it to how belittle your own race? That's rough. Black people are still slaves to black people. I think that logic makes sense. No, no joke is off the table unless it's about. That's true. Yeah. Every time I hear a priest joke with my priest is a pedo, it's like, I just roll my eyes. You shouldn't joke in a way that puts others down. Then it's not funny. See, crude joking is also sinful. Not necessarily. No, like, this might just be a gender thing. At this point, it might be a gender thing. Like, guys will say the most unhinged crap imaginable to each other and walk it off like nothing happened. However, you get to the other side, and it's like, you can say the most nicest thing imaginable, and they'll think that you said an insult. Literally every joke puts... Yeah, Evan, you're right. Literally every joke puts people down. Yeah, but it's all in good fun. All jokes are supposed to be in good fun, unless if it's not, in which case it's just racism. Yeah. This is so weird. Let's see. But yeah, double standards here, though. Puns are mortal sins. Well, gotta go confession. True guys are brutal with their jokes. So true. Having fun is a mortal sin, only for the trads. Anyways, so I think we should get into this because I know Trent tries to define it at some point. So I feel like we're premature. We're only 10 minutes into this, and about 3 of that was me trying to. So let's get into this, folks. Let's get into this. You have bad taste in humor if you think that all funny jokes put people down. Just gonna say it. I don't. It's not all funny jokes. This woman. No offense, Lana, but woman brain there. Evan. Evan. I was not anticipating a cup of coffee. But I think, yeah, to be fair, I love that you say all. I didn't, like, if I say all, I mean most, you know. Um, but all funny jokes do not put people down. Some funny jokes are just funny. And some of them and most of them, if they're racist, tend to be funny. It's just what it is. They're jokes. There's a wholesome way to joke. Trust me, bro. Yeah, but sometimes you want to go a bit more. Like, for crying out loud, I make jokes about my own self too. So this isn't like I'm not being. This isn't like I'm unfair to anyone else. Every joke requires a winner and a loser. True. But yeah. Anyways, let's get into this. Racist jokes are the funniest jokes. It is indeed. Well. Yes. All your jokes have truth in them. Indeed. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, anyways, we are back with a vodka bottle, Dr. Pepper. It will not last the night. So anyways, let's keep this going.
Hello and welcome to Catholic Answers Live. I am Cy Kellett, your host. Very happy to be here with you in the Christmas season, where I can, even the most curmudgeonly church lady.
Okay, I speed it up, but I like to at least state this was pre-recorded. It does write that it is pre-recorded. So, yeah, I don't know what happened. You know, some things may be later, but let's see.
Will allow me to say Merry Christmas today. And so Merry Christmas to you. And I shouldn't start out picking on curmudgeonly church ladies in the Christmas season. That's no way to behave. That's curmudgeonly of me to have done that. So I apologize. I retract it. I completely retract it. I'm not going to give out the phone number.
See, that is just an example of why it's like you make a joke, you stand by it. You don't lose your dick or your balls because, yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. It is Christmas season. No more Advent, at least for another year. But, yeah, but this is what I'm saying. The joke. It's like he said a joke and then he's like refraining from it. So it's like it's not really a joke anymore. It's just a pitiful sentence he said. Definition is the most important part, to be honest. Yeah. I might chill it down when he defines it, which is in what? Okay, it's in it sometime. Okay. Like, and honestly, I think Trent and me will agree in some regards. Like, I think Trent might, like, I don't know. He's talking about it. He's an apologetic guy, though, so it's like him talking about this is kind of like sus. It's kind of like when Eric wants to talk about the Groypers. It's like, this ain't your niche, bruh. This ain't your niche. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, I have no idea what's in the Summa, but bruh, I can figure out whether or not you're a bull crapping me. And it's not because I come from Oklahoma. It's because you're full of shit. So,
because we are going to have a conversation today with Trent Horn, the great Trent Horn from. You can find him at the Council of Trent, or occasionally debating, or sometimes fighting people. He physically fights people, not like in a bad way.
A Semite is a descendant of Shimrite, so wouldn't that mean Muslim hate? I believe that's Islamophobia, but yes. His definition.
He's a jiu-jitsu or one of those things. Trent Horn, welcome. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Cy. And yes, it is jiu-jitsu. I did Muay Thai kickboxing a little back in the day. I want to get back into it very soon, but I think you saw me try out a little bit of jiu-jitsu at the conference. Were you there for our
I saw it.
Our underground fighting match?
I was horrified by it. Yes, I saw it.
You were horrified by it?
No, I wasn't. I mean, it's different.
I am really I am sorry. I'm sorry that we didn't get to your turn, so you weren't able to participate.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing any of that. I fight temptation. That's the only fight that I get involved in, and I'm losing, Trent. I am not winning that fight.
You have to learn how to take temptation, get a good sweep in there, bend its arm behind its back, and that temptation won't bother you anymore. So metaphorically, you have to do all that.
I feel like I've walked into a little bit of a verbal trap because we're going to talk about Judaism today, anti-Semitism and all that. And I started by talking about jiu-jitsu, and I feel like someone's going to make some sort of joke about that. But
my mind's just going to the okay, if I'm going to make a joke, all that is bringing me back to was the, you know what? Can I find it? Hold on? I want to see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find that clip. let me see if I can find that clip. Because if I'm looking at because I'm thinking of a specific. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this should be it. I feel like. Okay. So let me shift back over here real quick and pump it over here.
What are all the cars doing?
All right. I think if we're gonna do a joke, I think this would be the best joke. Hold on. What are we looking at? I think as long as jokes aren't actually backhanded compliments or insults disguised as jokes to avoid being held accountable when people find it hurtly, it's fine. Oh, then you're fine. Do it. I think we all agree with that. Like, yeah. Like, none of us actually, when we say jokes, like when I make jokes about black people and fried chicken and watermelon, it's like, no, it's just like it's a jest. It's like it's no problem. It's a stereotype, but it's a stereotype that works. But no, if we're gonna do a joke, let's do this joke.
What are all the cars doing out there?
Oh, they must be from Mort's party.
Okay, the first rule of Jewish Fight Club is if somebody says ow, you stop.
Ow!
Okay, let's see.
He did say he needed a joke. He did say he needed a joke. I don't know if he intended that one though. But anyways, so yeah, let's see what Trent's getting into more. I feel like this is going to be so then let's set it
I
back.
have to do all that.
I feel like I've walked into a little bit of a verbal trap because we're going to talk about Judaism today, anti-Semitism and all that. And I started by talking about jujitsu, and I feel like someone's going to make some sort of joke about that. But
That fits so well. Family Guy coming in clutch. And bad taste is that you're all bored with it and you find it funny. That's what makes it okay. Something bad taste is that you're all bored with it and you find it funny. No hate. Okay, let's just make this clear. Let me clear the air. No hate. There's no hate. No hate. The only thing I hate is Judaism because it's a freaking lie, just as Islam is. I want them to convert to the Catholic Church, but I'm not going to negate the truth because people's feelings be mad. So yeah. Why does Horn train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instead of Krav Maga? I can't think of. I had a joke and I missed it. Anyways, let's keep going.
I am fine if someone wants to accuse me of practicing JEW jitsu. That is,
which is like what would like a Jewish guy throws you or something? Is that what that is? I don't know what that would be.
that would be judo, JEW.
Oh, judo. Yes, that's right. I confused those two. Right.
Yes.
Right. Jiu-jitsu.
When a Jewish guy.
Oh, so when I make this joke, so if I make these jokes, no, I'm I'm anti-Semitic. But if he makes it as a Jew, oh, it's perfectly allowable. I feel like I'm going to hear a double standard from him. I feel like he's going to try and do something. And I'm going to look at him and go, you literally just made your own Jewish jokes. For crying out loud, they don't accept you anymore. You turned from them. You may be circumcised, but you ain't with them anymore. You betrayed them. Mosaic Jews, they're Jews, but it's kind of what if. Isn't Mosaic something else? Are these like the Muslim, not Muslims, Amish? Isn't it like an Amish? Don't they not believe that? Don't they not believe that Christ is God? Yeah, well, a lot of Jews. But like, they're still waiting technically for the Messiah. So, and I put "waiting" in quotes. But yeah. There's no hate. Just ask the diverse group chats. Yeah. All right.
Throws you, it's JEWDO. When he just chokes you unconscious, is JEW jitsu.
Okay, I'm going to say I prefer judo. I think from those descriptions, but I'm glad. Like a little levity is not so bad, but it's become painful in our society to.
You know who's good at levity? The Jews, surprisingly enough.
They are. I've heard that occasionally Jews will be funny. I have heard that you run into an occasional funny Jew.
There are a few funny Jews you'll find reading leaflets on Jewish sports heroes.
Wait, what? No, I didn't even get your reference.
That's from Airplane.
I
When
missed
she's
it.
on
Sorry.
the wonderful 1980 parody film Airplane, where they're like, "Would you like any reading material? Do you have any light reading material? We have this leaf."
So you're saying that Trent stole this joke? How dare he? How dare he steal this joke? It was promised to him 7,000 years ago. But let's see. Mosaic Jews are not necessarily Jews. They believe Christ is God, but they follow many of the laws of the old. My mom and sister, and many of them. Okay. They believe. Okay, Christ. Very well. Interesting. Yeah, a lot of Judaism. Like, I think there's like 3. There's like the Orthodox Jew, there's the conservative Jew, and the liberal Jew. So it's like they all kind of like, they all have, even Judaism has its own version of Protestantism, which is so weird. Except for, no. But again, Catholicism. If it ain't Catholic, then it ain't allowed. Okay, gosh.
Flit on Jewish sports heroes.
Oh, that's not right. Sandy Koufax. Everybody probably says Sandy Koufax when I'm sure there have been plenty of Jewish sports heroes, but Sandy Koufax is probably the most famous because he's famous.
More to get you out of a leaflet. But yeah, so Jews have had to learn, and just reference for everybody here, half my family is Jewish. I was not raised in a Jewish home. We'll get to conspiracy theories later. My father didn't go to temple or anything.
If he doesn't add that he has Hornstein, his real name should have been Hornstein.
Anything like that. I did not have a bar mitzvah. So he's Jewish. His family is Jewish. So I'm half Jewish. That means I can make jokes, poke fun at Jewish people half the time. 1 out of 2 times. The other half I have to abstain. So
all I can make fun of is French Canadians then, because I've got a French Canadian grandmother. That's not even fun. I don't even have anybody good to make fun of. All right, but
do you have carte blanche, by the way, when you're in Quebec, just to go free reign on French Canadian jokes? You're in Quebecois.
I don't know if I have free range, but I did.
So does this mean I can make Nazi jokes because I'm German? Do you think he'll enjoy mine?
I want to talk about French Canada. It's a great country, French Canada. I love it as a nation and as a people. But I want to talk about the Jews. And here's the deal. It seems to me, I don't think I'm the only one that this has occurred to, but I have had personal experience of it, especially among a certain age group, young people of us, and I can't tell you what exactly the parameters are, of a growing nostalgia for Catholic anti-Semitism. And that's what I...
Nostalgia? Nostalgia? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Nostalgia? You mean what? Like World War II Germany? That's a long time ago. Nostalgia that you're pulling from your ass. What does it mean to be Catholic anti-Semitism? What the hell does that even mean? Oh, Catholic anti-Semitism. So it's how? What? That doesn't make any sense. How does that make any sense? Catholic anti-Semitism. So it's Catholic hate against Jews. Okay, one of those is not working. So I don't know who told them to say this grouping of words, but it's not working. So, but anyways, what do we have, Lotta? Pure. I have cashews in my mouth. Sorry, hold on. Presbyterian and a Messianic Jew. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, I put Zionist in my... that's probably why. I put Zionist in my tags. You can say the Groiper word. Yeah. Although, fun fact, I'm not a Groiper. I'm going to rile people up with that. I'm just a common dude. Hey, US Patriot, welcome in, welcome in. Patriots on Twitch for all of you YouTube people. Yeah, I believe he's trying to refer to the flawed understanding of the pre through the teaching. Oh, okay. I just need to be watching. Yeah, Lana. I am not a Zionist though. I put it in there because this would fit. This fits in that realm. Yeah, no Zionism here. The Rome belong. Yeah, the Holy Land belongs to Rome. But yeah, thank you, Patriot. Welcome in. Yeah, it is a interesting title. I was not planning to be here. Trent Horn had to post stuff. I wanted to chill this week, enjoy life, and no, I had to do this. I have to engage with his stuff. But yeah. All right. Cool. Okay, so there's more than gosh, there's so many different types of Jews. It's like okay, I'm not going to say that joke because I can't finish it anymore. But yeah, let's keep it going.
I think of it as a kind of nostalgia or a kind of I have all kinds of theories about why people, but I want to get at you why you think this is. But I think it's a kind of like in the good old days, we used to put the Jews in their place, and I guess
based.
That's their place was the ghetto or something. But there's a feeling of a real Catholic kind of has a little bit of Jew hatred in the blood. I hate to admit how.
I love how he just says hatred. He just does not even like think that it's just some of us be jokes or like, hey, there's been some weird phenomenons. Like this is like say like, oh, I hate pit bulls, and then he's like, oh well, you just hate like, oh, you hate pit bulls, and it's like, yeah, well, I'm sorry, but there's been a few babies with their faces ripped off, like, so who are not Jews and follow the Jewish customs. How dare they? Oh, Christian. You say Christian. That doesn't necessarily say Catholic. If it was Catholic, then oh yeah, big problem. But yeah. Trent's nice. I'll give him credit. Trent is good at apologetic work. He just needs to stay doing apologetics. Quit doing my work.
How close to the truth that is in some ways, because we don't. The history is rough. But tell me, why do you think we see this rise of anti-Semitism among Catholics?
Well, I think that there's just been a troubling rise in anti-Semitism in the past 2 years. But anti-Semitism is something that has, followed the Jews every place they go. And I think
I just like to report, if this is going to be if anti-Semitism has followed everywhere they've gone, has anyone considered that it's not the place they go to, but who they are? Just saying, like, could it be that it's anti-Semitism everywhere they go, or that they are creating issues that cause anti-Semitism? Just say, like, you gotta ask the true question. Trying to stay in the pro-life movement. Yeah, totally. He should take $400,000 like Lila Rose does from live action. Not joking about that, by the way. Legitimately, Lila Rose gets a salary of $400,000 to do live action. Yeah. I once was talking with a girl on Catholic Match, and she said she was a Zionist because she was like, "Oh yeah, she was saying like, "Oh, I have a whatchamacallit? I have a I have got Spanish. I'm not a fake cell. I wish I wish I was. She was like, "Hey, I've got Spanish citizenship, and then I've got American citizenship, and then she said some other one that I can't remember. I think it's French." And so, like, her family was from French, and then she has Spanish because her mother was Spanish, but they got kicked out. And so and then I told her, like, I'm not a Zionist. Like, I think Rome should own the Holy Land. And then she broke things off with me, and I was like, well, you're lost. So, when was the last time you said something involving pro-life? Yeah. When have any of them stopped talking about women? I'm sorry. I'm a single guy. I like women. They don't tend to like me as much. Yeah, it was a sad W though. But she was a bit big, to be fair. But yeah, like this is the thing about the pro life industry though is like people do not actually give a crap if you're in the pro life industry because all the money has to stay there. Like Lila is making over $400,000, as I was saying, and like we only have we got a quarter of the districts or a quarter of the states are against abortion. So yeah, no Delilah. We need to do more. That's why I'm in office. That's why I want to be in office. So, and no, Evan, I'm gonna talk about women all the time. Yeah, yeah. Too bad they don't talk to me. Anyways, okay. Hasn't red states made abortion legal? Lila is not based. She's a feminist. Sorry, Lana. She's a feminist. She's also a thief, but that's a different story for another day. Yeah, Majorian and A New Crusade will be going through her records. Hasn't red states made abortion legal? I assume you mean illegal with that sentence, Evan, but no, there's only hold on, can I show it real quick? I have the graph somewhere here. Like Missouri. No, I don't think they did anything to it actually. Okay, so this is the graph that I've made. So from a little bit ago. So North Dakota is now dark red. It is a complete ban. But yeah, this is everything. So Idaho, the Dakotas, and then all this section that has banned abortion completely. So, and that's only 13. So that's rough. How so? She's how so? Is she a thief or a feminist? Because I'll just answer both. Why not? I'll come back to that. Hold on. Wasn't there a pro-life activist who grifted the movement and had an abortion after being pro-life? Yeah, there was some Jew girl. Wasn't it like the Jewish something? I forgot. There's always a new woman creator of some form. It's just like I can't keep up with everyone. There's always some new e-girl. But yeah, I could have sworn Missouri made legal or at least blocked a ban. 52% of them agreed in 2024 to let abortion happen. So, I don't know what that happened, but they passed an amendment. So, I don't know. I heard it from Pipesep a while ago. Yeah, that happened way long ago. That happened like at least a year ago. E-girls are, a few e-girls are evil, yes. But yeah. Lila Rose though definitely a feminist. She's get away from the traditional views. You gotta ask about her kids. She doesn't want to be home, and then of course she's she's a thief because she steals all those donor funds to fund her luxurious lifestyle, which I don't even know what that is. Name one good e-girl. Name one good e-girl. Name one good e-girl. One good e-girl. Damn. I don't follow any e-girls, so like this is gonna be hard because I gotta like think of them. Lauren Chen, maybe. She's married. She's got kids. She's not doing anything really anymore. I think she would be okay. Like, I think. I'm running out. Like, I can't think of anyone else. I'm not gonna say they're like the religious hippie or something. Answers. Well, what can I say, Evan? You asked me, you asked me an e-girl. There is not an e-girl that is none. So, but anyways,
part of that is just rooted in them being the original chosen people, and so because of that, then they're going to have diabolical attacks against them. Think about the persecutions they went through all throughout the story of salvation in the Old Testament. And while God's chosen people are no longer restricted to the Jewish people because we have a Catholic universal covenant in Christ, Romans chapter 11 is very clear that the gifts and calling of God are irrevocable, that God still has a special love and care for the Jewish people, and he loves them for the sake of their forefathers through which he made a covenant. And so they have a special place in the plan of salvation, but it's not one that is completely isolated from Jesus Christ. So I think
Can I go back? I love how he does a Protestant thing and he just quotes a verse and chapter of the Bible and then just says, well, this is what it's supposed to mean. But he doesn't state the catechism, doesn't state like a pope, nothing. It's just straight up, oh, look at this Bible verse. This totally is going to defend me. So you misspelled the N. So, oh, you missed the N? I have no idea what you're talking about, Evan. Steph Gordon is the closest and girl, and yeah. Well, she's with Gordon. Gordon whips her into shape. And I mean that in the good way, in the married way. So, I still think this is funny though. It's like God's chosen people are no longer restricted to the Jewish people. You're right.
To the Jewish people because we have a Catholic universal covenant in Christ. Romans chapter 11 is very clear that the gifts and calling of God are irrevocable.
Okay, I love that he throws that in and then he's like, so this means obviously, but he doesn't go through it at all.
That God still has a special love and care for the Jewish people, and he loves them for the sake of their forefathers through which he made a covenant. And
but he loves all now. Like, we all are open to that. So why is are you saying that being a special race is somehow God loves God loves a specific race? And if so, then are you admitting that God is racist? Trent? Like, I can't be the only one to think that, right? Probably a misspell, bro, guys. The fact that they all tells me everything I know, I gotta feel I'm not the target audience on this channel, so I'm gonna leave. Well, Lana, I'm sorry to hear that. Not liking Nick is. I'm not a groiper, just to be clear. So, I did have PineSap on the channel, and we did discuss groiperism on the channel a long time ago. So, you should definitely cue that in. Well, thank you, Lana. I definitely will. Have a good night. So, anyways, but again, I still say, how can you say that? Okay, so they love him for the sake of their forefathers. Okay, cool. Well, but he loves all, Trent. And so in that, why would being Jewish have a special place except to be noted as, to just say God is racist, to say well, he has a special place for them. So are you saying then that God is racist to the Gentiles? So then are we not equal? Do we not have equal dignity? Which the church does admit that we do. So where are you going to go with this, boy?
And so they have a special place in the plan of salvation, but it's not one that is completely isolated from Jesus Christ. So I think that because of that, there's this kind of, it's almost diabolical. You see it in just so many different cultures, times, and places. Much the same as there will be anti-Christian rhetoric and anti-Christian hatred coming from the devil, where Christians are persecuted in all different kinds of times and places. That's important to keep into account.
I feel like
go ahead, Shai.
I was just going to say, I feel like the anti-Christian thing, I almost can I can kind of grant it to you because there's a lot of Christians. I mean, the number of people I think would be shocked if they really understood how few Jews there are in the world.
Yeah, so 1% of them control 999% of the pornographic industries. Yeah, that's not weird at all. Is Trent implying that belief in Jesus being the God-man is not necessary because the old law? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, is Trent then not admitting that some of what God or the church teaches is invalid? So, man, that's a face. I stopped that at the right moment with Trent.
It's a tiny little minority. So it seems to me outside, like if you're like, I don't know, for any other ideology or religion, well, Christianity is a major competitor. Judaism isn't even in the running. They're not even they don't even make the top 10.
Right, but they've always been a small group of people who, when they live in a society, are the minority or the outsider group. And when you're a minority or an outsider group, you're much more liable to be subject to persecution, discrimination, and unjust treatment. And that's why I mentioned Christians, because people will say there are different anti-Semitic tropes online, and we'll need to make sure we define anti-Semitism very carefully, because that is how people try to get away with anti-Semitic behavior, by redefining that term.
Okay.
But they will point out, for example, there's a common trope saying that Jews have been kicked out of or expelled from 109 countries. And so someone will say to you, if you knew a guy who was kicked out of 109 bars, don't you think maybe the guy is the problem, not the bars? But
Well, at least he's intelligent enough to find me out.
of course, when you look at the records of what they're talking about, it's not 109 different countries. It's references to 109 different localities or places or regions or even just cities over the past 2,000 years. Some people even include, when Jews in the Old Testament were, captured by Babylon as being kicked out of a country. So it goes through that. When you go through each one saying, oh, well, what happened? Well, what happened here? Oh, well, there's unjust discrimination. There's false accusations of things like well poisoning, or Jews refuse to convert, so they have to be expelled. But the problem is, if you're going to make that...
Shame, Evan. Shame. You're giving me shame for the e-girl thing. Shame. How dare you watch an Indian? How dare you? And by that, a 7-Eleven one. I'm from Oklahoma, so I have to define it. Sorry, just a meme. But what you have to take into account is Trent doesn't have a funny bone. That's why all of this is why he got off social media, is because he couldn't handle it. He takes things too literally. He's a robot. Yeah, you guys know that the funny bone is actually in. The funny bone isn't actually a bone. It's actually some skin in one specific area, and if you don't have it, well, you just can't ever be funny. I will say, when me and my dad were leaving one place, we did run into a gas station with an Indian that was run down. So the funny bone is only found. Sporty, I don't know how it is. This is twice in the last 20 minutes that I've caught both. Someone has written a comment that I have not seen, but then I say. That's so funny.
Arguing, you say, oh, well, if this guy's kicked out of 109 bars, so he's the troublemaker, not the bars. You can make a similar list of countries and of places where Christians, or Catholics in particular, have been expelled. Even in the United States, you had the Popish Act in not Maryland, in Massachusetts. Maryland was for Catholics, Maryland. But in Massachusetts, you had the Popish Act, where priests were expelled from the colony. You have Catholics expelled from medieval Japan, Roman persecution of Christians, obviously Protestant and Catholic persecution of one another. So the fact that a group has had a long has been a victim of persecution for a very long time. Normally, for other groups, we would say, oh, that just shows that they need more protection. It's been unfair how they have been treated throughout history. It's anti-Semitic if you say, oh, Jews are the exception. They actually deserved it. I see what you're saying. So I think what's important here, we have to define anti-Semitism very carefully, because people they misuse it. They misuse the term all the time. Do you want me to go into that?
Would
right
you please?
Now?
Sure. Let's just do that. Let's get a good grounding in what is anti-Semitism, because it's certainly not disagreeing with Jews or even disagreeing with the Jewish state or anything like that. But there is such.
No, don't. No, it is. If you say that you don't want to fund Israel's war, you are anti-Semitic. Don't try and throw that in like it's nothing. No. They have literally said that. Israel has said it's anti-Semitic. I'm pretty sure it's anti-Semitic to not want to fight their wars. Don't try and slide that in. Thing
is anti-Semitism. You can't. So what is it? What are we talking about when we say it?
I would say that anti-Semitism refers to a kind of prejudice or discrimination Now, here's the thing also with Jew, there's Jew can refer to an ethnic group of people or a religious group of people. Oftentimes it overlaps, but not always. You'll have ethnic Jews who are not religious, and you will have religious Jews, let's say, who are converts to Judaism through marriage or something, and they're not ethnically Jewish, but they're religiously Jewish. Usually the two things overlap. So anti-Semitism would say that ethnic Jews are morally inferior to other non-ethnic Jews, that there's a moral inferiority about their race, or treating religious Jews as being a religion, a religious group that is morally inferior to other non-Christian religions.
Okay, I gotta look back at that. Hold on. Yay, they won. Okay, I gotta take a look at that. Hold on. So let me say, so anti-Semitism would say that ethnic Jews are morally superior. Wait, anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism? All right. Anti-Semitism would say that ethnic Jews are morally inferior to other non-ethnic Jews. I think it's the other way around, isn't it? Isn't it supposed to be that the... Wait, inferior. Sorry, not superior. Inferior. I don't think anyone admits to that part of the definition. This is a shitty definition. No one thinks that Jews, especially if you are Catholic, I'll keep this Catholic because they say in the thing Catholic anti-Semitism. No Catholic admits that ethnic Jews are somehow less human than non-ethnic Jews. And even more than that, a moral inferiority about their race, that there's a moral, we don't care about race. Like we do and we don't. It's like when you get approached by 3 black guys in the middle of the night. Like, you care then, but it's like I don't care any other time. It's just factors I'm aware of. But I think they treating religious Jews as being a religious group that is morally inferior to other non-Christians. No. They are just, it is Judaism or religious Jews are living a inferior faith. They are living a false truth. So yeah, if that be the case, he's basically saying that Jews should stop being Jews is anti-Semitic, which is not Catholic doctrine. The Great Commission requires us to tell them quit being Jews because that is not the faith. That is not the truth. And as Trent, an apologetic guy, should know, if they aren't going to accept Catholicism, then what's the point? Like, why believe in the faith if you're not actually going to preach the faith? Good grief. Catholicism truly is superior. Not only is it superior, it's the truth. Everything else is a lie. So, would have a field day with Trent. Everyone has a field day with Trent. Real. Yep. Not always, but a non-significant amount hold the same belief in the land of their people. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to drink while he does this because this was dumb.
Now, here's the thing also with Jew, there's Jew can refer to an ethnic group of people or a religious group of people. Oftentimes it overlaps, but not always. You'll have ethnic Jews who are not religious, and you will have religious Jews, let's say, who are converts to Judaism through marriage or something, and they're not ethnically Jewish, but they're religiously Jewish. Usually the two things overlap. So anti-Semitism would say that ethnic Jews are morally inferior to other non-ethnic Jews, that there's a moral inferiority about their race, or
sorry, hold on. Good grief. Oh, good grief. I did it again. I put vodka down the wrong throat. I don't know why I can't drink this vodka to save my life. Because, like, the last time, I accidentally had a little bit of it. It went down the wrong pipe. Oh, gosh. I think I'm feeling it too much. I can't take a shot. That's probably what it is. Anyways. Let me shove it back so I can listen to this.
Would say that ethnic Jews are morally inferior to other non-ethnic Jews, that there's a moral inferiority about their race, or treating religious Jews as being a religion, a religious group that is morally inferior to other non-Christian religions. So it's important that I have those distinctions in there, because I would say, for example, like someone said to me, "Do you think that Jews are morally inferior to Catholics?" So I'd say, well, they lack baptism, so they lack the graces that are present in baptism.
So you're anti-Semitic. You're an anti-Semitic Jew, Trent. What are you talking about?
Just like any other unbaptized person. So that's not unique to Judaism. That's unique.
Congrats. You're just agreed with like what 99% of Groypers or America First people. Congrats.
To being a non-Christian. So if I say, for example, that Jews should convert, I have a whole episode of my podcast on that recently. That's not anti-Semitic, because I would treat any non-Christian in that way. The problem is when you treat Jewish people in a way that is uniquely demeaning, dehumanizing, or considers them morally inferior to others. And so that's where anti-Semitism is, not merely acknowledging that every person needs to be redeemed by Jesus Christ, including Jewish people.
If we're going to talk about this, we could also talk about Protestantism and how we all make jokes about them too. Like, this is just going to be a bunch of tone policing at this point. But yeah, Trent basically agreed with 99% of America First people, but because of the fact that he doesn't actually care enough to, like, talk with these people to figure out what they actually mean, like, he doesn't want to talk with Pine Sap, he doesn't want to talk to Nick, hell, he doesn't want to talk to probably me. He's going to spout out the same dumbass sentence because he doesn't have the bravery and the gall to actually talk with someone who is on the other side, because he just thinks he knows us. So, anyways.
All right, we're talking a bit about the rise in anti-Semitism. I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk about it. It's something that has become quite notable in recent years, both inside and outside the Catholic Church. But I must say, personally, I'm most concerned to see young Catholics being persuaded that there's something wrong with the Jews. There's something fundamentally wrong.
Oh, yeah, I know Trent doesn't know who the hell I am. That's fine. I fully admit that. I'm not prideful enough to think I'm a big guy. But I'm just saying, like, if Trent really wants to have, like, to figure this out, because if he's being told he's wrong, that takes humility to go, okay, well, why am I wrong? And he's not doing that. He's just going, well, he called my wife a bitch, which I'm like, I'm going into politics. I'm going to be yelled at and lied 20 times over. I'm saying that as cock.
Wrong with the Jews.
But he knows who Pine Sap is, because Pine Sap took a photo of this, actually, and then Counselor Trent reposted it. So, anyways, when are you going to write speeches for the Pope? Never. I'm too busy fighting for my home in Oklahoma. Besides, he doesn't need me to write his speeches.
That we somehow need to be on our guard against Jews. We'll talk about that with Trent Horn as we continue on Catholic Answers Live.
Catholic Answers Live.
Do you have a question but prefer to ask it privately? Catholic or given some
Happy Boxing Day. Welcome back, Catholic Answers Live. Trent Horn, our guest on this Boxing Day. I forgot to say it was Boxing Day. Happy Boxing Day. It's not Jiu-Jitsu Day, Trent. It's Boxing Day. I don't
Canadians, all gay.
know. I look it up every year, and then every year I forget what Boxing Day is. It's something the English people do. And so to all them, happy Boxing Day.
Yeah,
oh, hell
it's
no.
that and Michaelmas, the forgotten holidays of the fall tradition.
It's St. Michael's Day today?
No, that was back in September, I think.
Oh.
But, when I think about this time of year.
If Catholic Answers had people who knew Catholic theology, they would be saving souls. Did I mention that, like, I went to the Catholic Creators Conference, and because of the fact that I was like, oh yeah, I want to repeal the 19th Amendment, I basically had someone tell me that I would never be able to work for, like, Catholic Answers or be sponsored for by Catholic Answers, and I was like, I already knew that, but glad for confirmation.
The forgotten holidays, the minor holidays.
Oh, yeah. Well, all right, we're talking about anti-Semitism. I'm really glad you're here to do this as we approach the end of the year, because 2025 was marked by considerable outbursts of anti-Semitism. Certainly, the Jewish state is at war, and that is, war brings out the worst in us. But that's certainly not the full explanation for what has happened this year and in recent years, and it doesn't at all explain the rise of anti-Semitism among Catholics.
I told them they're not allowed to vote, but yeah, I did not say the work, Evan. I did not have the. Did you tell them women are not allowed to work? I said, but I kind of could imply it if I did a stay at home, which I do not remember if I did a stay at home mom thing. But yeah,
Like especially Catholic young people.
and I told it to women. Just to be clear, I said it to women. So balls of steel.
I have to say, I have several times been personally shocked by what young people have said to me when I've been out talking.
Why?
And they wanted to talk about things like international Jewry. And the first time someone did that, I actually thought that they were joking, so I made a joke out of it. And
It's such a boomer thing. Such a boomer thing. I can tell he's a boomer because of the gray hair, but like, I love how it's like Gen Z. It's like we're just kind of flowing, and then all the boomers are like having a hissy fit over it. Not Lila Rose. Hell yeah. I don't know about Wilson though. She's a little bit. She's is it true that Wilson has had like 3 people? Isn't it true that Wilson has like 3 baby daddies and Andrew is like stepdad to 3 kids or whatever? Like, very well, but you know, I was just like, that's an interesting tidbit to find out. Who's this guy talking to Trent? Cy. He runs the Catholic Answers Live. He was there, I think, before Trent, but you know, let's be honest. No one remembers anyone at Catholic Answers except for Trent and maybe Joe. Everyone else is kind of just like, oh, I work for Catholic Answers. What? You know, if that's true, scratch that. Like I want to say there was something I thought, you know, this is when the e-girls were fighting each other, and you know, women, they can't argue with facts. They got to argue with like personal attacks. And so this is when they go and yell at each other like, "You have syphilis. You're a mud shark." You know, never is it like, you know, "You're a bitch," you know. Forgive me, I watched Trent, bro. I watched Trent. Now I just do it because I'm like, oh, what dumbassery is coming out tonight? But yeah, I used to watch Trent too. This is what I'm saying. Trent needs to stay in his lane. He's losing people by choosing to embrace his culture. And if I did mine, well, America would be the better for it. If I embraced my culture, you know, the Fourth Reich, yeah. I kind of forget about Jimmy. I'll be honest. I forget about Jimmy Atkins because every now and then he says some weird things like the aliens are here or something. So,
because I just didn't. That wasn't on. What do they say? That wasn't on my dance card
Radar.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that to come up.
Gaydar?
But just recently we saw this even a high school here in California in San Jose. I'm pretty sure you're safe from the international Jewish conspiracy in San Jose, but the high schoolers there. They made a swastika on the they shaped themselves into a swastika and posted the picture and I think it was in that case it was I think they think that they're supporting Palestinian people that way or something, but we've lost something.
Oh, teenagers are being teenagers. The horror. Gotta be. That is so. Just want to find church. Yeah, Anthony might be right. I love though that he's like, there was a high school and they did a swastika. Boy, they're teens. What do you fucking expect? Like, I don't expect anything less. Like, for crying out loud, guys would be doing that for free. There would be no cause. It would just be, it's funny, so we're gonna do it. We wouldn't need the Palestinians. It's just full on like, oh, we're gonna do a swastika because it's funny. Should they have done it? Probably not. But is it funny? Somewhat. This is like, yeah, this is this type of fear that it's like, what was it? Was it World War II? Call of Duty World War II? They didn't want to put the swastika in, but they put the Iron Cross in. And it's like, so it's still the Nazis. It's just you won't do the real one. Wow, look, they're asleep. I made them asleep. I just looked at their eyes. I have no idea what the dead Kennedys either. I doubt it. Ben.
And we've lost the thread here. We were pretty clear that anti-Semitism was bad, and now
Right.
that seems to be breaking down.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot to unpack here when you talk about the rise in anti-Semitism.
No, there's not.
I think also we have to be aware of arguments that are made, misunderstandings on each side. So, for example, some people.
So, misunderstandings on both sides. But when Pine Sep or Nick extends a hand, and they say, "Let us figure out this misunderstanding," you slap it away. What you're? This is the cuckery. This is why I say, like, Trent is such a pussy, and I do say that with the full malice with it, because all he does is these video essays or stuff like this. Mind you, this was pre-recorded, so no one was talking to him at this point. But this is such like weak beta gay material, because all it is I'm gonna say something behind the safety of my own screen. He's basically an Aeon at this point, which he also doesn't like Aeon accounts. But you're basically an Aeon account because no one can hurt you at Catholic Answers. Let's be honest. No, you can't lose your job at Catholic Answers because you have the most milquetoast opinions imaginable. So don't bitch about that there's misunderstandings on each side, when you know full well that there has been attempts to get you and a Groiper in a room, and you have been the guy that says no. So don't bitch at that. They have songs about killing where, like, they say the N-word a lot. That's weird.
People, you might hear someone who expresses anti-Semitic views and say to them, well, how can you be anti-Semitic as a Catholic? Jesus and Mary and the apostles were Jewish. And what they'll say is, well, no, I'm not talking about people of Jewish ethnicity. I'm talking about Judaism as a false religion, and as a false religion, it causes harm, and I oppose it as a false religion, which any Catholic could say. But that's kind of a bait and switch, because then they'll go on to say that any ethnic Jew who is involved in any bad doing, that somehow shows that all Jews are bad. That's really a lot of anti-Semitism is rooted by logical fallacies. And by the way, it's not good also define it as just like hating Jewish people, because a lot of them will say, well, I don't hate Jewish people. They'll just say, I recognize that Jewish people have undue influence in society and cause a lot of social ills, and so we need to quote unquote push back against Jewish power, whatever that means, which can have very nefarious meanings. And they never quite get into it, what they mean exactly. And I might say, would you support laws long before the Holocaust happened, laws that would restrict Jews from owning businesses, Jews from holding political office? The road to genocide starts one step.
Damn, bro went from not like, he went back to one thing, and then it did not even slowly progress to anything. It went straight up from A to B. Good grief. No one is wanting the genocide of Jews, Trent, and you know full well that no one's wishing death upon the Jews. Except for the Islams, but they wish death upon Christians, so it's not very unique. But I like that it's like, oh, well, they can't hold political office, and they can't have businesses. Oh, and then we're just gonna kill them. The straight that arrow of progression. Good grief. But what was he saying? It's like, they have a lot of social ills. Okay, so Trent, do you think that the Jews need to get out of the pornographic industry? Oh, crickets. Wow, who knew? Yeah, because you're not here to discuss this because you're a pansy. He can't let the other side speak, otherwise he will lose his grift. Hell yeah, that's why. This is why I say he's a pussy and a gay. And by that I don't mean a literal gay, although occasionally he's spiritually, he's intellectually gay, and he's also just a coward. Which I feel like is funny, because Trent is supposed to be this model of the Catholic faith, and yet he's kind of a weakling in it. So, which isn't to say I think his faith and baptism, I think he's a Catholic. He just sucks at presenting it with its full facts. He's kind of slimy. He's like Vivek, only he's like Vivek. If Vivek is slimy in politics, Trent is weak in his faith. Or representation of his political faith, or religious faith. I don't know. I think it makes sense. According to Trent, yeah. Yeah.
I might say, would you support law? What are you talking about? The road to genocide starts one step at a time.
Sure.
What exactly are you talking about here?
So hold on. So are we supposed to then say like we should not let satanic people hold office? Because isn't that a genocide against satanic people then? So should we not be activating those laws? Are you saying that we should be allowing certain groups in to do evil even though their master is literally the father of lies, Trent? No way. So, yeah. But it's like, if you're going to say that, like, if we push for a moral good and the moral good is considered anti-Semitic and so we shouldn't do that, then at that point, nothing will ever get passed because the moral good is always subjective. And that is why you need the Catholic good. So, anyways, sorry, Trent.
So yeah, it's not about hatred, but you can be discriminatory towards a group even if you don't have hatred towards that group.
What? Okay, so let me get this straight. Oh, good grief, Trent! You're gonna make me take another shot. I don't want one. So let's get this straight. We should allow infants and mentally Shut up, Evan. So let me get this straight. So you can't, if you have hatred, so you cannot hate them, but you can't be discriminated against them. So I can't hate lies, but I can't tell the satanic people that bruh, what type of dumbassery is this? To say, oh, well, you can't. Like, what the hell? That's like, so again, the satanic people, let's change the format. Are you saying then, okay, I can, if I discriminate against satanic people, is that then not allowed? Because I don't hate satanic people either. I wish to love them, and that is why I am discriminatory. Because I wish a properly ordered society, a Catholic society. So I can't let these satanic people in. Which also we could talk about is then why the Jews aren't allowed, because not satanic people. What am I talking about? A Catholic society needs Catholics in the head. So, okay, I'm gonna let him try his example. I think it's gonna suck, but I'm gonna let him try.
So, for example, someone would be anti-Irish, anti-Irish, for example. They say, look, I have lots of Irish friends.
That was weird. Hold on. Okay, there we are. My keyboard wasn't working. KK allowed to hold office. Yeah, like, if that be the case, are you saying that you could have, well, let's put it this way, you can't have, well, actually, yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, bring in the KKK. Like, we can change the group, and his arguments die immediately. Yeah, it's like the KKK. It's like, do you want a KK member in public office? Well, there were. Do you think that was a good thing, Trent? Do you think you want KK members in the church? I mean, in political office? Clip that. Damn. What did I say? What was the clippable moment? I half remember what I say, so it's not very. Gosh. If only Paz was here, he'd totally be clipping. But it's like, if we're gonna have something about the triple, yeah. Well, Evan, why Evan? He had to write the KK. Anyways, but it's like, if you're gonna be discriminatory against the KKK or the Ku Klux Klan, then it's like, and you don't have any hatred for that, or even more, it's like, let's say you don't have a hatred, you love, because that is what every Christian is supposed to do. You love the KKK. Then what are you going to be discriminatory against those? And the answer is going to be yes, and Trent's going to say yes. So, yeah, Trent, you're losing brain cells. Your Jewish part of you, the foreskin would have given you more intelligence to override this. You know how I know? I've been lucky.
You can be discriminatory towards a group even if you don't have hatred towards that group. So, for example, someone would be anti-Irish, anti-Irish, for example. They say, look, I have lots of Irish friends. I love my Irish friends. They're hilarious. They're great to go out drinking with. But they are a bunch of drunks, and they always make the neighborhoods worse when they move in. I don't hate them, but that's just the you'd say, oh, well, that's
it's bigotry.
That's bigotry,
Yeah.
wrapped in a mantle of.
Okay. Well, if they move in and they are indeed causing havoc, for crying out loud, we could talk about the migrant problem we've been having. The migrants come in and they don't give a shit about this country. Why? Because they didn't give a shit about their own. So yeah, I wouldn't want a migrant living next to me because they're going to bring in their third world shit. And some of that is really bad. Get those mics out of here. Mix? What are mix? What is a mix, Sporty? But it's like, again, is this be the case? It's like, are you then going to want these weirdos who are going to be like Irish people? But they gave us Cillian Murphy. We gotta let them in. The Irish people, and it's just Egyptians, migrants that resides now, or Syrian refugees in Ireland. So, but it's like, if this are you not going to be mad if you had an Indian immigrants who just started crapping in your street? I'm not getting this. I think this doesn't work. Yeah, like, okay, so they're great to go out drinking, and then, but there's some problems, aka they do a certain demographic of people tend to be doing a stereotype. Wow, imagine that. That's like saying, like, I don't want to, when I'm out on the street and things happen, I don't want to be near black people because they riot, and when they because they like to loot stores. Like, Are you going to call me racist for pointing out the fact that every looting video, there's always tends to be like 3 or 4 different black guys walking out with like Gucci or whatever? Never, like diapers or something.
But that's just the
Well, they wouldn't be walking out with diapers. What am I thinking about? They wouldn't be walking out with diapers. They're never even dad. I think it could be more that Italians did America worse than Irish. Again, his argument doesn't work if you swap it out, and that's his problem. When you are using only one case, that doesn't mean anything. So, I don't think he's thinking this out, which is why this is the same thing with he acts like a Protestant right now, and that's the thing. That's the same claim I throw to Protestants. They don't think their theology out, and I think Trent hasn't thought out his theology.
But they are a bunch of drunks, and they always make the neighborhoods worse when they move in. I don't hate them, but that's just the you would say, oh, well, that's
it's bigotry.
That's bigotry,
Yeah.
wrapped in a mantle of trying to be nice about it. And many people who are anti-Semitic would say the same thing about Jews. Oh, I love Jews. Jews are funny. I have Jewish friends, but they cause a lot of problems, blah, 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 blah. And there's a fallacy in here in that they will not hold they won't hold other groups to these kinds of standards. They'll follow this fallacious way.
What are you talking about, Trent? This is why I'm saying Trent has made a characterization or a character of these groypers in America First, and this is why he needs to talk to them. And if the more he doesn't, the more of a coward he is, and why his work suffers the way it has. Like, no one wants to listen to Trent Horn talk about anti-Semitism anymore. No one wants to talk about Trent and apologetics anymore because he's losing his career to this idiocy.
Of thinking. If Jews are overrepresented in a bad thing, it follows that Jews are responsible for the bad thing. Yeah. So they'll try to claim, and in most cases they're actually factually wrong. They claim that Jews were overrepresented, or that Jews were the majority responsible for slavery in the United States, which is not true, has been debunked. That they are the majority control of pornography, even though, think about the most famous pornographers in American history, people like Hugh Hefner, Larry.
So he pulls out the pornographic, but what's funny is he pops out 2 people and try to be like, well, they weren't Jewish. he's fallen into he's arguing like a woman now, because women will say like, well, I'm not the average woman, and it's like, great, but on average. So this is where he's running into the problem of the like, okay, well, just because they ain't doesn't make, just because some people can see that the sky is green because they're colorblind doesn't necessarily mean that the sky isn't blue for some weird reason. It still is blue, Trent. Mix means Michael, yes, because Irish are often named in that day, based Irish. Too bad. Irish, I'm pretty sure, are white.
Flint, they were not Jewish. But going on, they'll say, oh, if they're overrepresented in something that's bad, even if they're not the majority, because Jews in the U.S. I think represent like 2%.
I'm pretty sure it's like 90 something. So what are you talking about, bro? Like overrepresented? Yeah, it's like 90 plus. Like it's not like a 51 to be like, oh, they're overrepresented. No, it's like full on. Like they are the representatives
of the population. If there's more than 2% of Jews in a vice or a bad thing, that shows that the Jews are responsible for that bad thing, which doesn't follow at all. Whites are overrepresented in drunk driving, DUIs, in child sex offense cases. It doesn't mean that white people are responsible for those things. There's different cultural factors involved here.
So we're going to talk about the tunnels under New York City where the Jews popped out like Mario from his tunnels. Solomon Freeman, I have no idea who he is. I'll be fair, Evan, I have no idea who that is. But Irish are redheads, not white. They are white. I'm only saying that because I want a redhead. No, I'm joking.
And the argument is also inconsistent because they'll say, oh, if Jews are overrepresented in a bad thing, they're responsible for the bad thing. But if Jews are overrepresented in a good thing, such as Jews are more likely to win Pulitzer Prizes, they're overrepresented in fields of medicine.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, Rabbi who owns Cornhub, Rabbi Shmuley, I thought, doesn't he have a vibrator business with his daughter? Yeah. So, and then what was it? Dennis Prager literally said like, oh yeah, jacking off to what was it? Animated child corn was all right with what's his name? Matt Fradd. So it's like, what are you talking about? Like, no, yeah, of course it's weird because the Jews don't have the same metric as Christians. But yeah, like don't give me yeah. It is evil. It is evil, Evan. Like I know I like this like I don't know what Trent is trying to argue, and I think that's why he's losing the kind of grasp he used to have is because of the fact that his arguments suck ass.
Medicine, for example, in science, inventions, things like that. Oh, well, they don't get any credit for that. They're not going to get any gold stars for that kind of stuff. So it's very selective reasoning to try to pin, and ultimately all forms of bigotry, whether it's towards Jews, towards people of color, towards women, towards Catholics. Many of the people who express anti-Semitism was once, bound up in there are traditional Catholic elements that have suffered from this, but many of the same groups who were very anti-Semitic were also very anti-Catholic. I remember I quoted.
Okay, hold on. It posted about kosher marital relations. It was the worst. Yeah. Well, Jews. What do you expect? Gosh, vibrators.
Sorry, I posted a video in. I did an episode recently looking on history, things like that, and it was a public service announcement about fascism. Published in 1943 in the United States, and it talks about the dangers of fascism. It has a guy talking about, we'll never take our country back unless we take it away from them. And they're like, well, who are they? They're like the blacks, the Masons, the Jews, the Catholics.
Halfway there, like a lot of them are like, to be fair, yeah, it's like we would have a better society. Okay, maybe not the blacks, but the Masons, the Jews, yeah, halfway there, yeah. Yeah, OF is run by a Jew. Go fig. Yeah, Freemasons are bad. Yeah. Again, half of this, like, yeah, the blacks, no. That's not allowed. But and the Catholics are no. But like the Masons, yeah, get them out.
And so there was that particular group, but now it's interesting. There have been Catholics who embrace a kind of anti-Semitism, which is an unfortunate one that also comes from our history of 2,000 years of Catholics and Jews having just a long-standing disagreement about the person of Jesus of Nazareth, and sometimes that being a violent disagreement where Jews have suffered tremendous harm, and that's something that the popes have apologized for, and that's something that Catholics and Jews have had to reconcile with each other.
You mean the fact that the Jews wanted to kill Jesus and literally Pilate was doing everything in his power to not kill him? He literally went, okay, he's on you. I did nothing. Yeah, Freemasons are evil. But like Pilate was like, no, he's yours. Yeah, do whatever you're doing. I didn't do anything. I just, I'm letting you do your stuff, but he's yours. Kill him and do what you wish.
Harm, and that's something that the popes have apologized for, and that's something that Catholics and Jews have had to reconcile with each other.
I'm going to throw you a theory out about why I think there's a growing anti-Judaism and anti-Semitism in.
Okay, what's up? Hold on. Oh, I'm prepared. Okay, I have a drink. Let's go.
Among Catholics, and here's my theory of it. I think there is a growing or there has been a wave of backlash against the Second Vatican Council.
Yeah, juice force past the end. Gosh, this okay. I'm gonna let him finish the theory, but this theory is debunked immediately by myself.
I think people came to see the Second Vatican Council not for what it was, but they saw in it all kinds of evils for which it really wasn't responsible. The Second Vatican Council didn't invent the sexual revolution. It just happened to take place in the middle of the sexual revolution. And it turns out that the sexual revolution ruined society. And one of the societies it ruined was the Catholic family. Okay, so all these things happened. But I think that there's an identification, and it's a rightful identification of the Second Vatican Council with a renewed opening to the Jews, to the Jewish people by Catholics. And so if you're going to really establish your bona fides as a strong, virile, pre-Vatican II Catholic, unlike these Vatican II Catholics who are somehow soft and, effeminate or something like that. I think there's an equation of masculine Catholicism with that stuff that happened before the Second Vatican Council, and then we're not so sure about the masculinity after. This is silly caricature, but I do believe it's in the minds of many people. And I think that people look at it and go, well, that's where the church opened up to the Jews. The whole thing was wrong. I'm throwing it out. I'm throwing out that being nice to the Jews stuff too.
I go to the Resorto. I receive on the hand. I am the most normie Catholic imaginable, probably the most normie practicing Catholic, and that's hogwash. No, it isn't. We're gonna go back. It's the fact of Catholic supremacy, because that is how that is how the world was supposed to be. The only reason that Catholic supremacy does not happen is because of the fact of our weak-ass people who don't want to embrace the truth. Our pride and our hubris is what keeps us away from the true utopia, the heaven on earth, right? That is what we were supposed to build while we are here. So, and like Vatican II, is there some weird things in there? I can maybe concede to that. Maybe. Are there some things that, like, do I like the Resorto? Yes. Do I like the TLM? I'll go to it. Let's put it that way. I would not be preferred. I'm too much of a I space out a bit too much for it. So, but yeah, why didn't an ecumenical council aimed at improving relations say the Jews and Muslims hold their heretical views? Yeah, I wonder why. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, Resorto for the win. Yep. We're so based, not gonna lie, mostly. Yep. I don't know why. Yeah, this theory's dumb. I'm just gonna say that. Like, thank you, Sai. You're now making me drink. Oh, yeah. Did this turn? Damn. I don't remember it being so hard. Anyways, I think this is a dumb opinion. I don't think anyone actually agrees to this. that's a weird theory. Because it isn't just like Pine Sap, I'm pretty sure is not even a TLM guy. I'm pretty sure he writes some things about the First Ordo in a favorable light. So this is not like the anti-Semitic people don't like the Novus Ordo or Vatican II. It's just the perversion of the gospel and the church that we don't like, which is what I think is going on here. Going to the Novus Ordo, yeah. Novus Ordo's fun. It's fine when it's done rightly. Like, I live in the South, so of course, like, there's only 10% of us are Catholic. So, you know, it's done properly, at least at my parish. So long as yeah. So this is not a TLM versus Novus Ordo thing. This is straight up just Catholic or Catholic. So we'll see what this glazed over face right here says.
Right. I think a lot of it you're correct is, especially among younger people, we're seeing this desire for tradition, a desire for antiquity and stability. And so they'll go back to these older sources thinking that, oh, well, this is the real, authentic, hardcore Catholic faith, without seeing that there were sinful attitudes expressed here and attitudes that were in error. I mean, I talked about how St. Thomas Aquinas argued that the Jews could be kept in perpetual slavery because of what their ancestors had done to Christ, and that's clearly in error. And then I get people who yell at me, how dare you speak against St. Thomas Aquinas? He's not infallible.
No,
we
know for a fact he made mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. And so they will pick these things and say, oh, because they happened a long time ago, this is awesome, and I want to hold on to that. How could it be wrong, without understanding how doctrine develops over time, our understanding of how it should be articulated, and where the church has to understand where it implemented unjust measures, for example, in its relations and dealings with Jewish people and with other elements like that. So this desire for tradition and antiquity can be distorted when it tries to pick up things in the past that don't represent the authentic faith, but elements that are really not essential to the positive faith that should have been discarded a long time ago.
All right, we will continue. I do want to talk about the lack of fathers in people's homes. I think that also is contributing to this anti-Semitism. People wanting to prove their manliness because they didn't have anyone to prove it to as a child.
How are they such freaking boomers? No one is saying that. No one. Literally no one is ever saying that. This is the first time I'm hearing this. Hecking based TLM see me walk up to them during the sign of peace. Yeah, no lack of fathers as a result. Might be, yeah, honestly. The absolute rejection. This is like the dumbest, like, I am not even versed in this stuff, and I feel like I'm able to combat them competently. And you know how much that sucks, that I am not the guy, and I am doing almost the guy equivalent stuff.
We'll continue with our discussion of anti-Semitism with Trent Horn on Catholic Answers Live.
We're going to talk about circumcision.
When the resurrected Jesus appeared to disciples on the road to Emmaus, they didn't feel Jesus is real.
Gives you the spiritual tools every life. Order your bookstore.
We hope that one of the things we encounter check it out at Shameless Joe, but he's also got a witty conversation, challenges, misconceptions, filled with joy. Get your podcast, and if you like,
we're talking a bit about the.
All right.
Trent Horn is our guest. We're talking a bit about the rise of anti-Semitism among Catholics. Myself, I'm very glad to have this conversation.
I love how Catholic Answers, though, their model is basically, we're going to talk about the faith and try to refute objections to the faith. And they're talking about anti-Semitism, which is not a refutation of anything at this point. It's just how to be a better Catholic, which is not their mission, I thought, in their mission. So, yeah, Trent, I say that. I say Trent should stay in his niche. I don't say Lane. I don't want him not to say anything about this, but he doesn't need to do videos on this. Trent does not need to do videos about anti-Semitism. If he wants to write a tweet, have at it. But he got off social media because he got railed in the comments. So
conversation. It's I don't think it's a controversial theological point to say that God loves the Jews, even that God has particular love for the Jews, because if you want to argue with those points, I think you're arguing with Scripture.
I think God loves everyone. Don't you, Cy? Or do you not agree with the Catholic Church and its catechism? Or are you going to throw the Bible at my face?
Sure. So, I mean, that's pretty. If you want to argue with those points, I think you're arguing with Scripture.
Well, how about you argue with the church, you old boomer? So, like, don't you know that being anti-Semitism is a pillar of belief on the faithful? Being anti-Semitism? I love that, though. Like, I don't get this point of, like, God loves the Jews, and thus he has a particular love for them. He has a particular love for everyone. Everyone is loved. That is the great, like, do you not believe in the Great Commission then? Like, are we not all supposed to be loved and brought into full communion with God? And that's what I'm saying. Again, this is basic theology. This isn't even rough theology. This is basic fucking theology. That God wishes to love every single one of us because he does. So I don't get why the real racists, ironically, are the two guys I'm watching. The true racists are Trent and Cy because they believe that the Jews have a special place beyond me, the simple Gentile that is German and French. American French, sorry. Cajun. They are the true racists then. The true racists are actually Catholic Answers because I don't care what race you are because at the end of the day, a soul doesn't have a race. How's that, boys? Good grief. I think these guys would be horrified if they knew what Scott Hahn thought about Zionism and the Jews. They probably do. They just don't care.
For the Jews, because if you want to argue with those points, I think you're arguing with Scripture. So
argue with the catechism,
I mean, that's pretty hard to argue. But we are rationalizing creatures, and we can rationalize what we like.
I don't think you can rationalize shit, but very well.
There's a lot of people who have decided they don't like the church's change in stance towards the Jews. I mean,
this is literally Vatican II that I'm saying. This is not even like post, like this is not prior Vatican II. This is Vatican II theology. So I don't know what crap they're getting in on, but
before, I think it was about 1962-63, on Good Friday, when we, or was it Good Friday, when we prayed for the Jews. We pray for everybody on Good Friday. People should know that. If you're an atheist, we pray for you. If you're a Christian who's not Catholic, we pray for you. But when we prayed for the Jews, I think there was a reference to them as perfidious Jews. And so, look, I'm not trying to cover up that the Catholic Church has...
Well, the problem there, Cy, is that the Latin was perfides judaeis, perfides, which is Latin for unbelieving or faithless.
Oh.
But it can oftentimes be translated or misunderstood to be perfidious, which means untrustworthy.
I see. Yes. Okay. So thank you for clarifying that.
Which is true. And so there's understanding there. Yeah. Oh, this can be what we want to do, and things in the liturgy change. For example, if you say, oh, you tried to make the liturgy more Protestant. Well, parts of the liturgy where I forget if it was anathema or something else. Talking about Protestants in very harsh terms might make it hard to, bring a Protestant to Mass, for example, or something like that, or to bring a Jew to participate in liturgy if they're open to converting, for example. I mean, we shouldn't refrain from speaking the truth. So if you're saying, oh, the perfides, the Jews who do not have faith, i.e. faith in our Lord, that's fine. But to say, oh, they're just untrustworthy or morally inferior to other non-Christians,
or sneaky,
that's wrong.
Or the implications of that. But there's a growing number of people who are reacting against all of the reforms, I think, of the last 100 years, more and more. And not all of the reforms. I mean, I don't see a big outcry.
Yeah, the Latin people try to...
We should change the Marian doctrines that have been declared, but there's a kind of a selective, anything that got loosened or lightened, they want to go.
You know what he's watching? He's watching his bank account. $7,000 just hit his account.
Go back. They want, and
right
this,
about
makes sense. I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense, but there's
now
kind of throwing whatever babies there are out with whatever bathwater there is here.
He just got $7K. Sorry, I was not paying attention to what he was saying, so I'm gonna have to jump it back.
Want to go back? They want, and this makes sense. I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense, but there's a kind of throwing whatever babies there are out with whatever bathwater there is here. And certainly a good thing that happened in the Catholic Church since the Second World War is a recognition that we just can't talk about Jews the way we used to, and we can't treat Jews the way we used to.
Well, there's just
Why just Jews? Honest question. Why? Why is it just Jews? Was it not everyone? Should we not be talking about everyone in the same light, boys?
there's a recognition that we should treat all people as possessing intrinsic human dignity. And so because of that, we ought not engage in behaviors, whether it's at the most extreme end, nearly everybody can agree, like killing, for example, it violates people's dignity. But there's other things that can violate people's dignity, even confining them to being forced to live in certain areas that are substandard and contribute negatively to their health and will cause them great harm, like, ghettos, for example.
So are you saying that we should not have had our concentration camps for the Japanese after World War II? Trent, what were they called? Excuse me, containment detention camps or something? I don't treat people who practice usury with dignity. Damn. Yeah, I can see that happen.
Other kinds of acts of violence, or even just the spreading of lies.
Okay, we're halfway there. Damn.
Is an attack on that group of people. When someone says that Catholics are a bunch of cannibals, especially when they have been corrected and they should know better, and they still spread that, well, that lie got Christians killed in the ancient Roman Empire and persecuted. But spreading the lie itself is a harm. Spreading lies and defaming group, just as it's a harm to a person to lie or defame.
So you're saying lying is evil, Trent. So why are you lying about groypers today? Should I stone you because of your faults to actually, I don't know, extend an olive branch, but instead you're a gay who can't have his manhood challenged? Oh, gosh.
About him, it is a lot. It is harmful and wrong to defame an entire group of people, and so that's why we need to see that, and we also just need to see. I think that many of these unjust ways that Jews are treated, these same groups of people will also say things about people of color, about women. I think a lot of it stems from this desire to want to.
Wait, what did I cook Trent with? Sorry, I was looking at my phone. I don't even remember what I cooked him with because of the fact that it's just part of me. So it's like, if I cooked him, I have no recollection. Okay, hold on. Let's do this again.
These unjust ways that Jews are treated. These same groups of people will also say things about people of color, about women. I think a lot of it stems from this desire to want to say sin is the property of that group of people, not my group of people. I think that many of those who are most rabidly anti-Semitic, they'll pay lip service to the idea of the universality of sin. But what they'll say is that Jews, people of color, women are responsible for the active sins and the worst sins. And white men, their biggest sin is that they're too cowardly to stand up against evil or something like that.
Well, I know one white guy that is afraid to stand up to evil, and he's looking at me right now, right there. See, you can't even look at me right now. How dare he? Yeah, he's a bit cowardly. I've never heard, though, that, like, literally, I had Pine Sap at, we didn't even talk about, like, race, like, we talked about race mixing, like, once. Like, I don't know where Trent is. This is what I'm saying. Trent is making a caricature of the groypers, and that is why he is failing. If he wasn't doing so much, sorry, hold on. If he wasn't trying to, like, make the groypers or make his opponents seem evil, if he actually, like, talked with them, he would actually figure out that some of what he's saying is complete bullshit, but, he just wants to keep lying his ass off, and I'm not going to say because he's a Jew. No, I'm going to say that because he's a dick. And I know that he doesn't have, and I know he doesn't look like a perfect dick because, well, he's missing a part.
I really, if you had to push them, I think that's what they think. And so it's like they then start to.
Whoa. There. Hold up. Back it up.
I really, if you had to push them, I think that's what they think. And so.
I think that's what they think. How about you, I don't know, fucking say, that's what I know they think. Or that's what I know they believe. Instead, it's I think. Why are you thinking, Trent? How about you know? Oh, that's right. It takes having balls, which you currently don't have. That's why you only have, what, 2 children? Not enough semen for your wife? Good grief. Yeah, what the hell's a wingnut? I actually have no idea what a wingnut is. Is that white something? No, that's not it. That's something else. But God grief, boy. What is his dumb yeah, Sporty, what is a wingnut? But look it up. Boy, I asked you. I asked you. That's wing. Okay. So nothing. I can't type it. You just did. You can't type. You mean you can't define it? Is that what you mean, Sporty? Not I can't type it. It's just think like skinheads. Okay, interesting. I thought okay, Urban Dictionary is lying to me now. But anyways. Okay. But again, why is it I think? Listen to this last 10 seconds.
Sins and the worst sins, and white men, their biggest sin is that they're too cowardly to stand up against evil or something like that. I really, if you had to push them, I think that's what they think. And so it's like they then
I think is the phrase that he uses to excuse any information he gets wrong. Yeah. Like he doesn't have to say that if he actually did his information, if he actually talked to people, but he doesn't want to do that because he's a coward. And he's got no balls, which is ironic because he only had a circumcision. But I'm not trying to get banned. All right. But yeah, it's like I think. How about you, I don't know, then talk to PineSap, and then you wouldn't have to think. How about you talk to some of these guys, but instead you go, "Oh, well, you made fun of my wife." Boy, I'm making fun of your face in front of your face. Like your wife is the least of his concern. The only reason Nick probably thought of your wife is mainly because of the fact that she was on YouTube. She was open then to be talked about. Maybe if you had a pair to not put her online and tell her, hey, let's not do Too Far with Laura Horn or whatever the channel is. Maybe if you told her not to go on, he wouldn't have said anything. But because of the fact that she was out there as a public figure, he was able to talk about her. So it's kind of on you that he was able to say things. Good grief. I know it comes off as if he knows his stuff, but then he can excuse the wrong information his fans fall for. Yeah. Like, Trent doesn't know what he's talking about here. Because I follow PineSap enough that I know full well that none of this is true. For crying out loud, I talked to PineSap for 2 hours. I have a stream, literally, that is, what is a groiper? And I literally push on PineSap. This is not like I was nice and friendly to him. I didn't know PineSap before we had that exchange. And I literally pressed him on multiple things. Like I pressed him on race mixing. I pressed him on the groiper, the heroism, the idolization of Nick. You know, like I pushed him on a few things. Literally every time I was pushing him, I went like not to be too aggressive, and then I went in because I knew that every time I had a thought that said like I need to push back, I knew that there were going to be someone that was going to say I should have said something. So that is why I said stuff. So, humbug. Anyways, average. Yeah.
Start to idolize this particular group of people as being that which is going to save humanity from the inferior groups. And that's where you get the roots of white male supremacy, which is something that I don't use, by the way, lightly. People have accused me of being a white supremacist, of being a misogynist.
So what you're saying is that being called something doesn't necessarily mean that you are something, Trent. Meaning, calling many people racist or anti-Semitic may not actually mean that they're anti-Semitic. Imagine that. Wow. Imagine that, Trent. Imagine that. That you being called names that are lies. Imagine if you did that to another group. No way.
something that I don't use, by the way, lightly. People have accused me of
No. Lightly my ass.
being a white supremacist, of being a misogynist. People have accused me of being anti-Semitic for comparing the slaughter of the unborn to the number of people who were killed in the Holocaust. When the terms get overused, if everybody...
So what you're saying is that being anti-Semitic has no definition, and thus it is used in tandem as in any other normal form of racism. So why are you saying that Catholics are anti-Semitic, boy?
Anti-Semitic, if everybody's a misogynist, if everybody's racist, then nobody is. So they ought to be used with great care.
Yeah, so shut the frick up. Like, they should be with great care, and your definitions was shit. Rather be one of the tribe and be empowered, to be honest. Thoughts on Vivek's challenger? Casey seems nice. I let's put it this way. I don't want Vivek, so I will support Casey until someone else pops up. I would not be voting for the woman. But I definitely, Casey would be far better than Vivek. So, even if Casey has like some weird ideas, I'd rather him over we're going to supplant you with Indians, Vivek. So, yeah. You know, interesting enough, I did a video. I did a stream a long time ago, like a couple months ago, talking about Vivek, and I basically was like, one, I can move to Ohio and I could run for governor. I'm not even joking about that. I could literally move and run for governor. It's really that easy. But two, I was complaining about like Nick. Nick was bitching about Vivek was going to be governor, and I'm like, well, there's two choices: either shut your trap or do something about it. And now it looks like Nick's kind of doing something about it. But then Casey kind of did the work. He's now out there going against Vivek, and so credit to him, balls to him, you know. But like this is the problem that I have. Like Sarah Stock was literally saying like, I hope Vivek loses, but it's like then you're saying that you want a Democrat. So you're kind of in a rock and a hard place at that point, because you're basically saying, I don't want this evil that I know, but I don't want the evil that is. So you got to get a guy who's actually good. But a lot of them don't want to do that because it requires work. And a lot of people don't want to do work in this industry. So we all chowing down on some Somali food right now. Yeah, Trump administration. Oh, look, yeah. I love that all the people, it's like, oh, the daycares are making the cash, but yet we haven't done anything. Sarah Stock, I met Sarah Stock, ironically, at the conference. I think I scared her. I don't know if my, like, incel energy just, like, well, actually, I'm a true cell, but, like, I don't know if it ebbed off me because, like, I was talking to her. I think, to be fair, like, within a month, she got engaged, so I don't know if, like, she was just weirded out because she, like, sensed that I was, like, trying something, which I kind of wasn't. She was in the politics sphere, and she's the only person at that conference that was in politics. So it's like, I kind of am like, you're the only person who's in my niche. But it's funny because, like, I think she was creeped out by me, and so I don't know if I've got anti-e-girl attached to me, but, you know, I'll take it. But, yeah. Hopefully she gets off, but, you know, women and boobs. So, you know how easy it would be to, if I had boobs, you know full well that this job would be so easy. I just have to show my tits, and, like, I'll have millions of followers. Instead, I have to be intelligent. Which, honestly, is so much better, because when I have my channel and it's, 3 million or whatever, it's going to be far better than, her, because it's like, she got it because she's pretty. I got it because I'm smart. She is married, therefore she needs stuff. She's not married. She's engaged. She's getting there, so yeah. Yeah. Honestly, she wasn't an e-girl for that long, so. But yeah, she needs to quit. Don't do an Amber Heard thing. She does not have, a aggressive personality. I'll say this, like, she definitely is a bit more introverted. So I don't know if that's why I freaked her out. I was too introverted, which is ironic, or I'm too extroverted, which is ironic because I'm too introverted normally, which I think is bad because I want to run for office and I'm like, I just want to stay in my corner and not do anything. And it's like, I can't do that as a politician. So, but Gay son, gay son, every girl daughter. Let's put it this way: men are more compliant to change than women. That is why we see feminism. Feminism is going to be staying for decades. So yeah, a lot of younger guys are probably gonna have to hag max. So, anyways, where were we? I'm gonna move this back just a brief bit so I'm aware.
All right, so let me ask you this then.
When the terms get overused, if everybody's anti-Semitic, if everybody's a misogynist, if everybody's racist, then nobody is.
Yeah, which is exactly why we are telling you to quit saying that anti-Semitic stuff is going on when it's just normal behavior. But of course, you don't want to listen to that, Trent, because you're well, you look high right now, but
so they ought to be used with great care.
All right, so let me ask you this then, because I think many people, the person willing to hear it would like to hear, well, what is the Catholic teaching on the Jews? Because, I mean, is it fair to say the Jews killed Christ? Is it fair to say that the Jews bear a particular guilt
so true,
for the
Evan.
killing of Christ? Is it fair to say that Christianity has replaced a particular guilt for the killing of Christ? Is it fair?
Yeah, it's you want to read, you want to read the gospel. His blood is on your hands. We receive it willingly. That's literally in the gospel. I paraphrased a bit, but you all know where I'm getting.
Fair to say that Christianity has replaced Judaism in God's favor?
Yes. Yes. Christianity has indeed replaced Judaism. Why? Because Christianity is the fulfillment of what was to come. Gentiles are actually to blame. Get out, Sporty. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Halfway. half joking. But no. Well, technically, theologically, we are all guilty, but because we all sin, but I just think it's funny to just say that they're guilty. See, that's anti-Semitic, but I'm just a comedian, so there's difference. But yeah, Christianity has replaced Judaism. It has, because Judaism does not have the complete truth, which is that Christ is Lord. Or Christ is King, sorry. Christ is King! Yeah!
And that in the act of rejecting the Messiah, the Jews have essentially cast themselves out and made themselves accursed. Are these things...
Specific Jews have cast themselves out, because that is normal Catholic theology. That if you're not accepting Christ, you're not in the church. Lo and behold.
Can I, or should I be saying these things as a Catholic?
And the problem here is that people who have an agenda and want to find ammunition to use against, say, for example, Jewish people, but this also happens with women and other groups.
I like to point out that he is looking for ammo too, but Jews and Roman both kill Christ, so both Jew and Gentile are guilty. Yeah. I said that. I said that at the end. I'm making jokes, but at the end of the day, yes, it is every one of us. Yeah, when people bring up the all crucified, I think they just feign ignorance of what people mean.
They can go back into church history and find attitudes or even some teachings that have not become part of the magisterium. These are things that the magisterium does not teach, but may have been things that were said by theologians in the past or even popes in the past, and claim, well, this is just what the church teaches. And what they do is that they will go back applying really a Protestant hermeneutic where...
You want to talk about Protestant hermeneutics? Bro, you are literally acting like one. Don't talk to me.
Just as Protestants will pick apart the Bible and assemble it and say this is what the Bible teaches according to their personal opinion, some of these people will go back to past Catholic documents, magisterial documents and non-magisterial ones, assemble their favorite pieces together and say this is what the church teaches, instead of listening to the living office of the magisterium. The magisterium does not exist. Well,
how about the doctrine of the faith, aka the catechism, boy?
Let's see, how should I? Yeah, I think I can phrase it. The magisterium is a living teaching office. The authority of the church's teaching office is found in its living members, the Pope and the bishops who are united to him, not in what you as a person think members of the magisterium in the past said, and compiling all of that together. So that would be the problem there. And so we have things like the Catechism, which itself, the Universal Catechism, also echoes the Catechism of the Council of Trent. The Catechism of the Council of Trent, which was written 500 years ago, it says
Just because the magisterium doesn't talk about something for years doesn't invalidate it. Yeah. Well, even more than that, it's like just because the magisterium talks about things doesn't necessarily mean that it is considered valid. And by that I mean, like, we can take a look at the death penalty. Like, nowadays the death penalty is seen kind of in a bad light, which I will say I'm on that camp. But you don't have to be in that camp. I disagree with you. I don't think that we should be killing people who have committed horrible crimes, because I wish to see them in heaven just as much as anyone else. But if you want to get after them, I think that's abhorrent, but I can't exactly stop you, because there's nothing wrong for thinking that. You're well and right as a Catholic to think that. So, there's nothing theologically for me to debunk, because there's no official documents that are saying I need to believe X and Y. This is all superficial. So,
as the question, are the Jews responsible for the death of Jesus? And while, yeah, there were Jews at that time who were responsible for that. But it says here the guilt for Jesus' death seems more enormous in us than in the Jews.
That's 500 years ago the church said that?
Yes.
That's pre-Vatican II, Trent. I don't know if you're aware of this. That's old-timey Catholic 500 years ago.
It is very pre-Vatican II. But there have been many people throughout church history who've tried to say that Jewish people have a unique guilt over Christ's death because they are the descendants of those who originally chanted for his crucifixion, which is a nonsense argument, though. First, there's hardly any Jews today who you could say are descendants of the Jews who are responsible for Christ's death, namely Herod, the guards, the high priest, and some of the crowd that were in Jerusalem. There were millions of Jews that were alive at the time of Jesus, and most of them were not in the city of Jerusalem that day. And all Jews, Jews today are descendants of that vast, larger majority of people. So they're just not descendants of the group that were involved in that. So right there, it's a non-starter of an argument to try to say, all Jews today have this responsibility. No, they're not connected to the people biologically who were involved back then. They're not involved in that. But most people do. They'll take out of context Matthew 27:25 when the crowd at Jesus' crucifixion says, "His blood be upon us and on our children." But the Bible never says that God honored this oath that the crowd made there. And Pope Benedict XVI, in his work Jesus of Nazareth, he talks about this. He says that this line, the Christian will remember that Jesus' blood speaks a different language than the blood of Abel. It does not cry out for vengeance. So yeah, it's saying that his blood be upon us and on our children. The Christian will remember that Jesus' blood speaks different language from the blood of Abel. It does not cry out for vengeance and punishment. It brings reconciliation. It is not poured out against anyone. It is poured out for many for all. Read in the light of faith, it means that we all stand in need of the purifying power of love, which is in his Christ's blood. These words are not a curse, but rather redemption, salvation. So it is showing that even those people, and Acts of the Apostles is very clear on this, even though there were people, Jews and non-Jews, at the time of Christ's death, who had malice and desired the worst for Christ, God used their individual sinful attitudes to accomplish the best for humanity, the redemption of all people. And so, yeah.
Could I say also, I mean, certainly the Romans are the actual killers of Jesus, but even if you said and as it's perfectly fair to say, the Jewish authorities, and as you said, those Jews who were advocating for Jesus' death, they bear a responsibility, just as you or I would if we were advocating for someone's death. But moral guilt can't be passed down biologically. It's not that kind of a thing.
No, it can't be. And I think also all that can be passed down. So for example, when we look at original sin, the Catechism talks about original sin not being a sin that is committed, but a deprivation. It is the absence of grace that had previously been given to Adam and Eve that was lost from them, and so it could not be passed on to their descendants. So the Bible is clear. God says that he will not punish a child for the sins of their father. A child may suffer because of the sins of the father. So if a group of people lives an idolatrous life and God's judgment brings an invading army onto that group, which happened to Israel a lot, the children suffer. They didn't do anything, but their parents brought wrath and misfortune upon them. That's not the same as being directly sent.
Yeah. Well, again, he's making a caricature of Graeber's and America First. I thought the whole point of original sin was that the thing about original sin was the sexual act in increation love life through the marital act was the reason that you would have original sin. And that was why supposedly Mary was conceived via a hug. And that way she was not tainted by the original sin. So
sentenced for a crime that your father, grandfather, or great grandfather committed. The other thing side of people will do is they'll say, oh, well, the Bible talks about it, says the Jews killed Jesus.
Especially in
but that
John's
word,
gospel.
right.
Yeah.
But in John's gospel, we have to remember that the hoi eudoi, that can refer to Jewish people as a whole, but more often it's talking about a particular set of Jews. It's better to translate in many of these cases the Judeans.
Yeah.
That it's talking about particular Jews in Judea who were loyal to the temple, the temple politics, placating the Roman occupiers towards particular Judeans. That makes more sense of when John often uses the word. So, for example, in John 7:1, it says, after this, Jesus went about in Galilee. He would not go about in Judea because the Jews sought to kill him. But there were lots of Jews in Galilee.
Yeah,
There were
Galilee.
Gentiles. Yeah, but there were lots of Jews who were in Galilee. But it makes sense if you say, oh, after this, he went about in Galilee, he would not go about in Judea because the Judeans sought to kill him.
Yeah.
And so when that's applied, we see that what is being spoken of here is not about just Jews as a whole. It's about a subset of them, because many Jews would either go on to convert, or even those who didn't convert, they were neutral to Jesus's mission, or neutral to the apostles' mission. You had in Acts chapter 5, it says, the rabbi says to the Sanhedrin, well, look, if this is not from God, it will fail. And if it's from God, we don't want to stand in the way.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Sporty. She was born without original sin. I don't know about that. I remember my sister-in-law telling me that that's what it was. I don't know if that's official church teaching though. So it's more of a belief, I guess, or there's something. There's another term that I am not remembering to save my ass right now. But anyways, okay, I moved up to 1.5. I'm getting tired of this. So we have about 18 more minutes probably. I'm still a catechumen, so I'm not 100. Oh, well, congrats. Welcome in. Conceived without original. Yeah, she was conceived without original. So, yeah, she doesn't have a sin within her. Because she didn't sin later either. So, John was born without original sin. Interesting. Was he? Possibly. Yeah, Sporty. Good to know. Yeah, I share with Evan's catechumenness. Okay, Sporty, I'm going to ask you a real quick question just to validate. I'm thinking of a person right now. Are you that person? Hold on. Sporty. Again, the question, Sporty. Are you the person that I'm thinking of currently in my head? Okay, good. just had to make sure. Just had to make sure. Just had to make sure. There's a specific person that I know is subscribed to me who is a catechumen, and if he is, and if that was you, then I'd have to be laughing. So, but okay, it's not very well. Yeah, you don't live in Oklahoma, so that'll be the dead giveaway. So, anyways, okay.
That's right. And so, yeah, there's not a sense of that Gamaliel is being given to us there as a bad guy. He's simply a wise, neutral observer of the circumstances.
Right. But the Catechism of the Catholic Church in paragraph 597
is
like, okay, well, how should we get an answer on whether the Jews are responsible for the death of Jesus? The Church tells us. Listen to what the Church says. In paragraph 597, it says, we cannot lay responsibility for the trial on the Jews in Jerusalem as a whole, despite the outcry of a manipulated crowd. And then so it says that, and then other passages talking about we certainly can't apply that to Jewish people in perpetuity going forward. So it's important to remember.
All right, we'll continue with our conversation about anti-Semitism. We can talk more. Trent, I'll leave it up to you if we want to talk more about the roots of it, or maybe about what might snap people out of this, because I do think it's something you need to be snapped out of. It's not a wise or neutral position. It's an evil. Anti-Semitism is an evil, and it's one that offends God himself. It's because it offends greatly the dignity of people that he loves. Let's talk about that when we come back, what can be done to heal this, perhaps, or whatever. Anyway, I've got one more segment to talk about this with you. So if there's stuff you want to cover, Trent, we'll do it.
Underwriting for Catholic.
So again, he literally said anti-Semitism, but then we literally talked about it 20 seconds ago. That anti-Semitism is just a word. Not gonna lie. Yeah, it's like, what does it mean to be anti-Semitic? Because we literally, hey, he defined it, but it's like he defined it so vaguely that it's not even meaning what it is. Trent literally was bitching that he got calls a racist, a sexist, a misogynist. It's like, why? Because those words are supposed to have power over you, but to say that but you aren't. So saying that you're anti-Semitic too, it's just a word. It's not actually supposed to mean anything. It's just, oh, well, you just don't like Jews. It's like, I'm literally trying to stop corn from existing. How's that anti-Semitic?
I the Bible says salvation is from the Jews, or Jesus himself says salvation is from the Jews. And so I suppose I should mention that you have a new book out that is a play on that phrase, Trent. Salvation is from the Catholic Church, how Christ uses the church to bring us to him. Of course, there are many sources of salvation.
I think I actually didn't buy this book when I was in the Catholic bookshop because this is what I'm saying. Trent needs to stay in his niche. I did not buy the book because I was tired of Trent doing dumb shit like this. So this is what I'm saying. Trent would do great if he stayed in his niche. Instead, he decided to be a Jew and have a hissy fit. So, and I say that ironically and in a joking manner, but also not joking that I literally skipped over the book because I didn't care enough to read his book. Also, I have about 20 different other books that I bought and not read. Life of a Catholic.
God uses, as we say, secondary causes, and our salvation has many causes. But in what sense do you mean that salvation is from the Catholic Church?
Well, the Catholic Church is the universal church that Christ established to gather all believers into the new covenant. And so in the book, I talk about how the Catholic Church provides us the different means through which God wants to save souls. So the church gives us, for example, the right beliefs. Many people will say, oh, salvation isn't from the Catholic Church, it's from Jesus. Well, right, Jesus died on the cross for us, but what do you have to do to be saved? Oh, we'll just believe in Jesus. Okay, so I can believe in Jesus, but not the Trinity? Well, no, you have to believe in the Trinity. Oh, okay, well, do I have to believe in, all this other stuff? Then the question becomes, what do I have to believe? That's not an easy one for Protestants to answer, to separate. What are the essential beliefs? What are the dogmas? What are the dogmas of the faith that we are bound to believe? And if we don't, that's a sin of heresy. So the church gives us the right doctrines to believe, the right moral teachings. What behavior is sinful and not sinful. I've seen Christians will defend contraception. They'll defend in vitro fertilization, for example. They'll defend all different kinds of modern sins. So where do we go to have guidance to know what behavior is compatible with the Christian life and what isn't? It gives us right doctrine, right morals, the right sacraments. Jesus made it very clear: unless you eat his flesh and drink his blood, you have no life within you. The right form of worship to present the Son to the Father on the sacrificial altar. The one sacrifice of Christ takes away the sins of the world that we receive in the Eucharist. And I go through that having the church gives us the right pastors with the authority from the apostles to be able to teach and guide believers. And then I answer over a dozen common objections to the Catholic plan of salvation. So
brand new.
It's all there.
We don't often get a brand new Trent Horn book. Salvation is from the Catholic Church.
It's been a little while. It's been a little while.
Well, you've been busy, Trent. How Christ uses the church to bring us to him. Check it out at shop.catholic.com or wherever you get your books. I'm thinking about a 25-year-old this year. Born, and pretty much the first big thing that happens in that person's life is the World Trade Center attacks when they're a year old. Then they get a war in Afghanistan and a war in Iraq, especially the war in Iraq doesn't go well. Then they get the collapse of the financial markets when they're about 8 years old. And then they get the Obama years and the Trump years where the country seems to just shatter and divide into armed camps almost. I mean, it's not almost, sometimes actually into armed camps. And then cap it all off when they're in their late teens or early 20s, COVID comes along. And yes. I think these people, these young people, say 25 to 30 years old, maybe 20 to 30 years old, have just grown up in this unbelievable instability, confusion, and frankly, deception. There are a lot of, they saw the government deceive them about things in those years. I mean, about the stability of the housing market, for example. They saw their parents lose jobs over this, what was essentially.
I love how he's saying, like, oh, well, because they've been lied to so much that they're just going to believe, like, I assume what he's getting to is like, oh, well, they've been lied so much, and so they think, like, the Jews is somehow a lie as well. It's like, I love that connection that he's going to be probably trying to make. I'll wait for it. It's probably in 2 seconds.
Government deception and lying by big institutions. And so they're looking for, all right, take me back to when things were stable. And I feel like anti-Semitism is riding on that. You know what I mean? It's like a free rider on that, where the demon of anti-Semitism says, oh, yeah, and by the way, if you believe all this nice stuff that the church is saying about that's also creating an instability. Go back to the good old days.
No one is saying this. What boomers? I swear, boomers. No one is saying this. No, I am not even getting close to saying this, you dip rods.
When we spoke forcefully against the Jews.
Yeah, it's always, you'll see anti-Semitism will flourish when there is political instability. It happens all throughout history because you want to find a scapegoat, right? Then
I'll continue, but what?
during the 14th century, during the Black Death, the Pope came out publicly saying, don't blame the Jews for the Black Death. They also suffer from this as well. And it is a very rational argument that he made, but there was still hysteria from people trying to blame Jews for this. I see anti-Semites today trying to blame the Black Plague on.
Okay, that's a lie. There's no way. There is no way that there are people today who are still blaming that the Jews committed the Black Plague or the Black Death. There's no. I need to see proof of that. I'm not. I think it's cap. It's cap. It's got to be cap. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way, chat. There's no way.
Jews.
That's holding a grudge, isn't it? Like I'm not going to blame you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it rots the brain.
Yeah,
when you look in the 1930s, for example, you have a gentleman named Father Charles Coughlin. He was one of the most famous figures in radio in the country. I think at one point a third of the country was listening to him. He was a very theatrical Catholic priest. He was flourishing. Radio was a new technology and everyone wanted to tune in. It's the Great Depression, so everybody's broke. At least you can just turn on a radio and listen to something. And he captivated people. And steadily, though, he began to blame the Jews more and more. It starts with the bankers and then turns into the Jews as to why you have this economic crisis in the Great Depression. When World War II begins, the Jews.
Not to say the dumb thing, but could the bankers and Jews be synonymous? Just saying. Just gotta ask the question. Mathematically,
Jews are behind this. Communism. The Jews are both responsible for communism, and they're responsible for capitalism and unpredictable economic markets. So they're
classic no-win situation.
Yes, or Jews. People will say that Jews are actually atheistic materialists, and so they want to make everyone atheists. But Jews are also superstitious fanatics who will engage in all kinds of superstitions. So it's like, I will find this all the time in anti-Semitic literature that Jews are responsible for both sides of an evil. So it's just you can't win basically. And so Father Coughlin was tapped into that, and
I sincerely doubt that.
The 30s were a time, when communism was at its heyday as well, that many of these dangerous ideologies will take advantage of instability. And yeah, so I feel tremendous sorrow for Gen Z. I really, really, really do.
I agree.
They did not get it. Even as a millennial, I didn't get a fair shake. And I mean, as for us millennials, we went through 9/11, we had to go back to math class, not like Gen Z, but then when we were starting out, when we tried to become adults, financial crisis, bam. Then markets, then COVID in the midst of our adulthood, trying to figure out things. But at the very least, though, I still got to have a fun childhood. I at least got to have that.
Yeah, you're right. They didn't.
And you know what's worse for them? They try to go out, and this will tie everything together. I remember as a high schooler and at college. So from 99 to 2007, we had fun. It was free of social media, free of pressure. You could go out and your life would not worry about it winding up on the internet, unless you're a Star Wars kid. But for everybody else, you didn't end up there. For Gen Z, their life is online. They're worried about trying to go out and hang out with friends and just be goofy and have fun. What if someone films it and it's all over the internet? That's horrible. I weep that they have to live in that. And much the same way.
I don't have to worry about that, so I don't know what he's getting on. So how about you? I don't know. Have better friends who don't be on their phones. How about that? Yeah, Gaza is in the Middle East. It's like on the border of Egypt, isn't it?
So they'll find solace in just being online, privately, anonymously, so I can't be made fun of. And that's where you end up disconnecting from reality and buying whatever the algorithm feeds you, including conspiracy.
I love how he's basically saying it's like, well, your programming is what's the problem. But yet, when we say women have been programmed to be feminists, we are thrown into the waste bin and going, well, that's just a theory. So does the algorithm push people towards certain things? Sure, but I'm pretty sure Trent disagrees with some of this. So
conspiracy theories. My best suggestion for people who are falling down this whole rabbit hole of anti-Semitism or any other conspiracy theory or anything like that, just unplug, find a group of people in a productive activity locally to you, spend as much time doing that, and you will feel better.
Yeah.
The less time you spend online, the more you spend with other people in your local community, not looking at your phone, not being on the computer, it'll be a breath of fresh air. And these other conspiratorial beliefs, they'll waste away.
And I'll agree. That's fine. Yeah. Go enjoy life. You should. Go have dinner with some dudes from church. I'm a Gen Zer and I see that. I don't get this. Phone bad. Boomer advice. Phone bad. But the Theology Matters doesn't allow me to give him money. I can't. I don't have enough subs and I don't have enough watch hours. Even if I wanted to, I can't. So I don't have the capabilities yet. So unfortunately,
It doesn't follow that just because they lied to you about COVID and they lied to you about the housing market that the Holocaust is a lie.
Right.
At a certain point, you can. There are some things that did happen, and the Holocaust happened, and stop denying it. Trent Horn, will you do another hour with me? But this time we'll take questions from your patrons.
oh, I love the little like side alley of like, well, I don't know why you don't believe in the Holocaust. I'm pretty sure the question with the Holocaust isn't did the Holocaust happen? It's how many people died, right? I thought it was like, isn't the meme always like the calculators, bringing calculators into Auschwitz and being like, okay, so if you have 365 days here and you were burning supposedly about 60 different people in a chamber for, like 4 different years, for every minute, the number's not adding up. So, did it? Nah, I'm kidding. It's both, yeah.
Let's do it.
Trent Horn, the author of just a tremendous number. I wish I had thought of that. And you should get this book, Salvation is Catholic Answers Live.
I had to take a bathroom break. How dare you?
Expense?
We're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you.
Yeah, your expense.
It will just be with my expense. You'll have
and you've patrons. But first, Edgar has this thing he likes to do where he plays a clip that he finds. Do you care if I know? It is YouTube. All right. And then he plays it, and then he gets our reaction to it.
Okay.
And he's been doing this on this thing we call the Super Show, which is a show we do before the show on the internet. But we're gonna do it live now with you on Catholic Answers Live.
Do it live.
Are you gonna
do it live?
You will just do it live. I can't do it. We'll do it live.
I'll give it this, and then I'm out.
Do it live.
At least I got that reference.
Thank you.
Okay, so what are you gonna do right now? You gonna play a clip for us, and then Trent reacts to it, or I react to it, or what? Trent reacts. Okay, so we're looking for the reaction of Mr. Trent Horn to the following clip. Go ahead.
All agree that Jar Jar being a Sith has been one of the most popular fan theories around. But is it actually true? Well, there is actually proof that he may be one, and here's how. At one point during the Clone Wars, Jar Jar picked up a lightsaber, and crazy enough, he wielded it confidently and used it pretty well. But that's not all. Not only did he prove he could use a saber, but he's also been able to convince people to do things at the most pivotal moments. The biggest example of this was when he convinced the Senate to give Palpatine emergency powers in Episode 2. Without that, Palpatine would have never had full control, which means there would have been no clone army for the Jedi, which also means no Order 66. In a deleted scene, Palpatine even thanked Jar Jar for giving him these powers, which makes it even more suspicious. Not only that, but George Lucas himself even said that Jar Jar was the key to everything. So with that, do you think he's a Sith Lord?
Trent?
No.
You don't think you don't think Jar Jar's a Sith Lord? I don't. Does
Me I think this theory has holes in it.
There we go. There we go.
You know what I'd like to see right now is Trent Horn doing an impression on was it Watto? Anyways. Gosh, that was sad. See what they have to do. They're sort of boomers. They can't have anything real. They can't like do anything fun. Anyways, only low IQ anti-Semites do total. Yeah, duh. For crying out loud, I'm aware of both histories, and I don't care which is which. Things happen. Gosh, though. 6 million, 7, yeah, 6, 7. Trent doesn't even have good Star Wars takes. Yeah, he probably his favorite movie is probably The Last Jedi. Let's be honest. His favorite Star Wars movie is The Last Jedi. Let's be honest. Yeah, Gen Z vote. Yeah. Well, he's not getting the Gen Z vote if he's going to stick with his heritage. Yeah, Jar Jar is not a Sith. Jar Jar is just a simpleton. I don't believe him to have the capacity. Mr. Jar Jar Binks. Anyways, gosh, I feel sad. Sad day. Anyways, I think that's it. Yeah, guys, it's been 2.5 hours. Fake Star Wars fan doing Jar Jar. He liked the Raylo premarital. Oh no, Evan, no. Yeah, gosh. See, that could have worked if it wasn't for the fact that they had to make her gay at the last end. Hope your day is good tomorrow. Thank you, Wagum. Yeah, wag me. But yeah, anyways, 20,000 Gungans died in the Battle of Naboo. Yeah, wouldn't doubt it. You know who also died in the Battle of Naboo? I started that thinking that I knew where the joke was going to go, and I have no idea. Anyways, Raylo, though. Let's be honest. We all wanted Ray and the black guy. What was his name? Finn. We all thought it was going to be them, and then it didn't. How outrageous. Anyways, that is all for the hour, guys. So honestly, I have nothing else. It's getting to 12. It's 11:40 here. So, and I technically was not supposed to stream tonight. So, because but Trent, he had to pop out some idiotic stuff. Yeah, thank you, Sporty. You too. God bless. So, yeah, guys, I think 271 stormtroopers died in the making of the sequel trilogy. They weren't called stormtroopers. They were called clones. Anyways, yeah, guys, I'm gonna pop out. I do not think there's anything else. Yeah, big news for the channel coming though up in the next few weeks. I definitely, I'm gonna let you all know I will be taking a hiatus for a good bit. Yeah, I got a sabbatical planned. I gotta take it. So that's prequels. No. Sequel. Okay, prequels. All right. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Sequel to me is the sequel trilogy to me is the 7 through 9, not 1 through 3. Actually, not even that. Wait, no, yeah, 1 through 3. But yeah, big news gonna come up from the hiatus I'm gonna have to take. So really showing your age, Hunk. I'm 24. I'm not old. Hell, Evan's not even old either. So I don't know where you're getting that, Sporty. But yeah, I'm young. I fully admit that. I don't know why I wouldn't. It just is what it is. Anyways, yeah, big news coming to the channel. I don't even, bro, you are ancient. I'm 24. I'm not that old. Oh, damn. Okay. I'm still not that old. Bro, to him, I am game B. Yeah, damn, I am Unk. Comparatively, I'm Unk. You guys are 20, minus a year, I'm well within the parameters of still being young. I am not Unk. I'm not old. I am just, darn. I am just refined. So I'm not Unk. Shut up, Evan. I'm not Unk. Only if Majorian was here would he be Unk. He's 28, I believe. So, anyways, yeah, big news for the channel. Things are gonna be changing since the new year's coming about. Yeah, unfortunately, you may not be seeing me. Frick, I lost my pencil. But Prelude, I may not be here as much as I used to. So, unfortunate, sadness. Anyways, I'll let you all know soon. But yeah, well, with that and me being called Unk and Gramps now, I think I'm going to skadoosh. I will see you guys Monday. At least I believe so. I'm still debating on it, but I'm pretty sure I'll see you Monday at 9 p.m. for Magic. Rivals at Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central. I have no idea what Thursday is. It depends on what's cracking. And then I don't even know if Friday I'm doing anything anymore. So that's what I'm saying. I have to do sabbatical stuff. So anyways, I will see you guys a different night. Have a good night. Get some sleep. What is tomorrow? Wednesday? Damn. Yeah. Anyways, have a good night, y'all. And I will see you later.